We will go ahead on. We go ahead on and get started this morning with prayer. Attention, prayer. And we pray. Surely I am being turned to thee, O Allah, being upright, to he who originated the heavens and the earth. I am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the world. No associate as he, and this is my commandment. I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, and there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against my faults, Allah, for none grants protection against faults except thee. Turn away from me the evil and indecent morals, for none can turn from me the evil and indecent morals with thee. But guide me, O Allah, to the best of morals, for none guides to the best of morals but thee. Ameen. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and of course, Master Farah Muhammad. In their names, I'd like to greet my dear beloved brother and sisters. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. I just saw something here in this footnote that I just feel like I need to read right quick. That kind of jumped out at me. It's the first footnote from part 2. Where the first ayat, the fools among people will say, what has turned them from their Qibla, which they had? And the footnote is, oh no, I that's the wrong. That's not the right verse with it, but the footnote was just said something interesting. A Muslim's conception of Allah is very broad. I guess so. Trillions of miles big. It includes all that is best in all other religions, but is free from the limitations they put. Therefore, no one who is true to his religion can dispute the Muslim conception of the divine being. Moreover, every religion of the world limits the spiritual sustenance of God to one nation or one country. A Jew thinks that God revealed truth only to the Israelites. A Christian thinks that the truth was revealed only to Jesus. A Hindu thinks that God revealed the truth only to the sages of India. A Zoroastrian thinks that truth was revealed to none but Zoroaster. Not so Islam, which says the truth was revealed to every nation. Every nation thus accepts partial truth, only that part of the truth which was revealed to it. But Islam accepts the whole truth. That's pretty interesting. And it makes me think of a dialogue that I just had with one of my long time friends who is a preacher. And I'll say something from the Quran, then he comes and says something. He give me something back from the Bible. So I told him, I said, well, brother, in Islam, we believe in all of the scripture. See? And that just tells you a little bit about Islam right there too, about the universality and the of Islam, something about the character of Islam. Okay. All right. So here we are today, inshallah, by Allah, we're on.
Before you continue, we got a question on the floor. Which footnote? I'm trying to find that footnote.
Okay. That is footnote 139A.
Okay, that's from your electronic. So we need, can you correlate the, because it's
Okay.
different.
Okay, my bad. Okay, that's right. You're right. Because we talked about that. And then we forgot, where's Sister Haviva? It's Surah 2.
I will reach out to Sister Haviva, the reader.
Yeah, we just somebody need to reach out and just tell her we miss her, if even though we didn't do a whole lot of reading yesterday, but we definitely want to have her in the mix. Yeah, this is right after part 2.
Okay.
Right after part 2, and then section 17, part 2. And then it's the
yeah, which ayat? So maybe we can find it.
Is it
I think it's one. Well, maybe that could be maybe 139.
Is it part 2 or surah 2? Section 17.
Section 17 is in part 2.
Part 2, okay.
The first ayat is
Right.
142. So
Right. So go back to 139.
Surah 139.
Yeah, surah, not one surah, but ayat 139.
I mean,
and there's the A.
Okay.
Right.
So ayat 139. So that's still in part 1. Okay.
Right.
Okay. We just
And I just saw that thing about the Muslims. It just kind of came out. It rung out to me.
So footnote 179, if you're in the hard copy 1999 version of the Holy Quran.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Just so that's just for reference anyway. But anyway, let's go ahead on and get into the matter at hand. Okay. The first one that I flagged for today was 2:143. And thus we have made you an exalted nation, that you may be the bearers of witness to the people, and that the messenger may be a bearer of witness to you. And that ayah just kind of rang true with me. That it said we were an exalted nation. And so what has happened is that I believe that with the supreme wisdom, given the supreme wisdom, we have exalted wisdom, because now we have wisdom that that the others did not have. We will see as we read on in the Quran that we have the wisdom of the book. We have the Holy Quran, but the supreme wisdom gives us a much deeper and, in my opinion, profound perspective of the reality. It says, and thus we have made you an exalted nation, that you may be bearers of witness to the people, and that the messenger be a bearer of witness to you. Because we have something special here as in the technology. We see this technology is definitely something special also in relationship to the teaching. So we got some 143A says, it could be that as it says, talks about in the footnote, that we are the nation that Abraham prayed for. And the thing that is distinguishing us is that we have been brought back to the most fundamental of the teachings in terms of who is God, what is God. And we were talking the other day, I think it might have been Brother Dude that was talking about the who, what, when, where. Say who, what, when. This is the time. The when is the time. The time, and we're living in the time, the days of Allah. The days of Allah, the days that Allah will become manifest. In the Bible, it says, in the day of the seventh angel, the mystery of God will be finished. And so we have been given by Allah's grace the mystery of God, the key to solving the mystery of God. And so that's why I flagged that. Any comments? All right. Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother. Wadu.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum again to you and the family. Just a question, as this is my first time participating in this format. Do we ask or raise questions based on the ayat that you flagged and that we may have seen something in, or just what is the format and the structure when you ask, are there any questions on that?
Yeah. Well, if I ask if there are any questions, it refers to whatever it is that I just got through talking about, or whatever ayat that we may be on. But the basic format of what we're basically doing is that we're going through, like today we're on part 2. And so really any ayat that you may have flagged, not necessarily in order, but I mean, it's always better to go in the order, I think. In general, I default to going in the order in which the ayat appears in the Quran, but not necessarily. So anytime you have a question, if you have a question, you have a comment, and basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to tie in the Quran with with the with the teachings and the technology. You know, of course, anything that we say of the Quran, we already looking through the teachings as, you know, we became familiar or becoming familiar with the Quran through the teachings. And so that's what I would say. So I see we got our sister Haviva, our Quran reciter, on the line. I was getting worried, Sister Haviva.
Assalamu alaikum, my dear family.
Wa alaikum salam.
I do apologize. I was not aware, but I'm on it now. Thank
All
Allah.
right. All praise is due to Allah.
To Allah, yes, sir. Where are we at, oh, beloved? I don't have that information.
We're on part 2, Surah 2. Actually, we were doing verse 143. 143, and we'll go even 143 through 145.
Yes, sir. Now, beloved, you know that some of the Qurans vary, so
That's right. That's right. That's right.
I
Where
start at 142.
I believe so.
Yes,
Where it
sir.
says, "And thus we made you an exalted nation."
Oh, okay. So you're actually at 143. Okay, I thought you were starting from the beginning. Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, can you read 143, 144, and 145?
I sure can. I'll be honored. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. Surah 2, Al-Baqarah, the cow, ayat 143. And thus we have made you an exalted nation, that you may be the bearers of witness to the people, and that the messenger may be a bearer of witness to you. And we did not make that which you would have to be the Qibla, but that we might distinguish him who follows the messenger from him who turns back upon his heels. And it was indeed a hard test, except for those whom Allah had guided. Nor was Allah going to make your faith to be fruitless. Surely Allah is compassionate, merciful to the people. Indeed, we see the turning of thy face to heaven. So we shall surely make them the master of the Qibla, which thou likest. Turn then thy face towards the sacred mosque, and wherever you are, turn your faces towards it. And those who have been given the book certainly know that it is the truth from their Lord, and Allah is not heedless of what they do. And even if thou shouldst bring to those who have been given the book every sign, they would not follow the Qibla, nor canst thou be a follower of their Qibla. Neither are they the followers of each other's Qibla. And if thou shouldst follow their desires after the knowledge that has come to thee, then thou wouldst indeed be of the wrongdoers. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. Thank you, sister. The reason that I flagged that in general, just pulling out a couple of points. In 144, he was saying that we shall surely make thee master of the Qibla, which thou likest. Turn then thy face toward the sacred mosque. And that made me think in terms of the text, what Mr. Hubbard talks about when he talks about a stable datum. A stable datum or a reference point. And we see that in Islam in general, that we have a considerable or a recognizable state of really disunity. You know, we got all the different kinds of beliefs. You know, you got the Shiites, you got the Sunnis, you got Hanafis, you got, you know, different, you know, you got different sects and different variations of belief. And so there is a certain level of confusion, even especially when you deal with some of our people that oftentimes ask us questions about Islam and about being Muslims, and they think it's all one. You know, they don't really understand the reality that we really have been divided in sects. And then as the Quran tells us later, and it says that they did not become divided until knowledge came to them out of envy, and which points to part of the nature. It's not your nature to be envious. It's not your nature to be jealous, but there are certain situations which your nature might prompt you to be envious or jealous, because everyone by nature is trying to survive. And when we see someone else that is surviving on a level that may be beyond what we're surviving on, then it tends to kind of make us look at ourselves a little funny. Well, you know, what's wrong with me, Allah? How come I can't have what so-and-so have, what brother so-and-so, what sister have? How come I can't have that? And so it's just a lot of, we have, you know, you have varying degrees of understanding. And so this sometimes can give rise to the varying degrees of understanding can cause envy and jealousy, because everybody wants to think that they got the right answer and so forth and so on. So we end up very confused, and we see even in the Islamic world, there is no real unity in the Islamic world. You can go even here in Atlanta, I'm sure wherever you may be residing, you see all of these different kinds of Muslims, and everybody have these little quirky beliefs and that, and it's just really a state of confusion to, you know, to a large degree. And so he's talking about, he said, turn thy face toward the sacred mosque. And so we find in the technology that one way to come out of chaos is to find what they call a stable datum. All right. And a stable datum is basically a reference point. If we take a piece of paper and cut it up into, say, 100 pieces, ball the paper, those pieces up into our hands, throw the paper up in the air, and so it comes down like confetti, what you see is a bunch of confusion. You don't know what's going on. So in order to begin to solve what's going on with this confusion, what you could do is that you could just take one piece of that paper and say paint it red or neon pink or something like that, and you throw it up. And then when you throw it up again, then you see that one particular piece that's neon pink or red or whatever it is. And now you have a basis to get started to solve the confusion. All right, that's what I saw right there with the sacred mosque. And going down to 145, it said, and even if thou should bring to those who have been given the book every sign, they would not follow thy Qibla, nor canst thou be a follower of their Qibla, neither are they followers of each other's Qibla. And what I'm seeing there is that this points to the mechanism of in our mind, the mechanism in our thinking of making decisions. See, and of judgment. See, a judgment is a decision, you see. And when you make a decision that that something, or make a judgment that something is a particular way, then you are establishing parameters, you are establishing boundaries by which you can make a computation of that particular thing. In this case, of their Qibla. So you say, if you look at their Qibla, you say, well, you know, that Qibla is not red enough for me. So even though there may be some benefit in that Qibla, since it's not red, just for example, since it's not red enough, then I'm going to cut that that Qibla out of my computation of it being right, and so forth and so on. So it says that decisions ultimately determine and frame the direction of our thoughts and our thinking. And so this whole thing about Allah, this whole thing about religion is to direct our thinking from this world, this evil world that we find ourselves in. We find Islam, and Islam is to guide us, you know, to the, I guess, the sacred mosque, to guide us to the truth, to guide us on the right path. But what we do sometimes when we see that it's somebody else's Qibla and it's not our particular Qibla, it speaks to our inability to think beyond our own reality and see a reality in someone else that very well may be of benefit to us. I apologize for such a long-winded comment. I saw Sister Karima's hand up. Did you have something to say, dear sister?
I thought I did, but I read something, but the last sentence kind of negated everything.
Okay, all right, that's fine. That's fine. We'll go to Brother Wadu.
Yes, sir. I a particular ayat that stood out for me was ayat 160, and it really starts in 159. But as we hear people speak of, as you brought up technology, and we hear people who have voiced opinions and judgments about the minister directing us to the technology, 160 stood out to me as them possibly being the ones spoken of in 160. And it reads, well, I'll start at 159. Those who conceal the clear proofs and the guidance that we revealed after we have made it clear in the book for men, these it is whom Allah curses, and those who curse them too, except those who repent and amend and make manifest the truth. These it is to whom I turn mercifully, and I am the oft returning to mercy, the merciful. And so I saw the opening of what the technology and Mr. Hubbard and the Scientology Church of Scientology has, as we've talked in other classes, that it really deems and seems true what they have to offer, even though they are Caucasian people, but maybe they are the ones who have repented and amended, regardless of where they started from, as comments have been made about Mr. Hubbard and his view of and perspective of Black people. But with the repentance and the amending, and then the embracing or bridging hands with the nation, then I I just saw ayat 160 as potentially referencing them.
Yes, sir. All praise is due to Allah. I just wanted to say, when we go over a particular ayat, we want to try to, if we can, just say like if we start talking about an ayat, before we just go to the next ayat, let's make sure that we've had a chance to address the previous one that we have already talked about before we just go to the next one. But yes, sir, that's very good, Brother Wadu. There is does anybody have any questions on comments on what Brother Wadu was saying? And I had a comment, but it left me. There's even something about that's in the Quran, and I think it may even be in today's reading. Hopefully, we can get to it. But okay. Sister Haviva, if you would read 153 through 155.
Yes, sir. Sure, too. I'll walk with the cows. Ayat 153. O you who believe, seek assistance through patience and prayer. Surely Allah is with the patient. And speak not of those who are slain in Allah's way as dead. Nay, they are alive, but you perceive not. And we shall certainly try you with something of fear and hunger, and loss of property, and lives and fruits, and give good news to the patient. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. The thing that I got out of that particular one that deals with the text, and I'm sure it all of it refers or deals with the text on some level. It's just that we may not be able to identify it all. I'm certainly not saying that I can identify it all myself. But the thing that I got right there, it says that seek assistance through patience and prayer. Surely Allah is with the patient. And so this is one of the first things that they do, that they teach you in Scientology with their actual training. And as they teach you, they give you a exercise is really in patience. They have the training routines. We talked about the training routines. I think it might have been Sister Tina that was talking about the training exercises. But their training routine, they call it TR's training routine. It's also called the upper indoctrination. And these are some of the basic fundamental training of a Scientology is basically patience. You learn patience. There are certain exercises of patience and training, or they call it TR0, which is an exercise called Be There. And this is one of the first things that you really learn, being not only in your training, but actually in your auditing, in your training as an auditor, is patience. And the tiara, Be There, simply means you learn how to be there. You learn how to sit down in front of somebody and look at them, in some cases for a protracted period of time, maybe 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, maybe even an hour, in some cases, hours. You learn how to just sit. The only thing you need to do is be there. And so for you to be there, then this exercise, it tries your patience, where you sit. The exercise is simply to sit in front of somebody else, to look at them and just simply be there. And there's all types of temptations for you to put your mind on something else, but you are to be there, because in an auditing session, it is the duty of the auditor to be there for the person being audited. So if you ask the PC a question, and then the PC answers the question, and then you are not there, if your mind is somewhere else, then you are not really in the session yourself. So they start you off. They start you off by teaching you the fundamental of patience, how to exercise the spiritual muscle of patience. And by learning this, see, without even saying Allahu Akbar and praise Jesus or whatever it is that people might want to say religiously, you are still aligning yourself with the infrastructure of Allah, where Allah, it says that Allah is with the patient. It didn't really say that Allah is with the Muslim or the Christian or whatever, or the person that call themselves this or call themselves that. It says that Allah is with the patient. So if you are developing patience, you are developing your closeness with Allah. You are developing your affinity with Allah, because you have to be patient. Allah is very patient. Allah is not made in haste. It says, surely man is made in haste. And this was a lecture that the minister gave years ago. Matter of fact, it was in May of 1979. He did a lecture during the first laborers conference. He called it Man Made in Haste. And this is really one of our number one, it's a number one enemy to our spiritual development, is impatience. So we have to develop patience. And it says, so seek assistance. If you want Allah to help you, then you have to pray. Well, then we talked about prayer yesterday, about how prayer is to focus on the picture in your mind of the object of the prayer. So you focus your mind on what you want Allah to bring about or to help you bring about, and then you have to have patience. And that's the whole thing the Christian said, that he might not come when you want him, but he's always right on time. So what is that? Come when you want him. So you want him. See, there's your universe. You got your universe where you have determined what time frame that Allah should be on. But Allah is the truth. Allah is universal, and Allah does everything in his own good time, as we have heard the minister refer to several times. And so Allah is, he is with the patient. So to the degree that you and I can develop patience is the degree that we really have Allah at our disposal. See, patience is just, when you really get into that word, see if it's in the, Belinda, see if that's in the technical dictionary, patience. If you are patient, not the Quran, but I think it's in Proverbs that says that in your patience possess ye your soul. That means that's you. The essence of you is in patience. And the degree of impatience that you have, it clouds the pictures, it clouds the atmosphere of your mind. But when you are calm, see, when you are patient, see, there is actually a relationship between patience, really, and faith. We talked about faith yesterday. So you can't have faith. Well, first of all, you can't please Allah without faith, says the Bible. And so you can't have faith without having patience. You got to have patience. See, and so you have patience, and the patient person, the impatient person, want to make something happen, but the patient person, he lets it happen. You see, he recognizes that the world does not necessarily revolve around him or her, and he allows, his patience does not take him off of his post. Once you get off of your post, then your ability to perceive, your ability to see things clearly is greatly affected to the negative. Sister Kareem.
As a doula, we call this holding space. A doula is the woman that assists a pregnant woman, not the midwife, but the doula is the one that holds the woman's hand, gets her water, rubs her back, may rub the husband's back also. She's there to assist with the pregnancy. So you have nothing to do but be there for when you're needed. So yeah, in the holistic healing, we call that holding space.
Praise be to Allah. Was you about to say something, Belinda?
That it wasn't in the text.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Okay, all right.
I know we're running out of time, but Sister Jacqueline and I had flagged that one too, and the word seek. And in the text, we thought, let me speak for myself. I thought that seeking was part, on my part, I would look at the unit facsimile of Allah to know how to be patient and how to pray. If that makes any sense.
Okay, yeah, I'm just trying to zero in on exactly. Can you just kind of sum up what you're saying, what your point is?
It says seek. So it says to the believer to seek.
Right. Okay.
So in order to seek, the Dayton in me, I'm looking at what am I seeking? So I'm seeking the pictures that Allah has established, set forth. If he created himself out of triple darkness it was a process. He had patience. So in my seeking, I can look at his examples to learn how to do that, seek assistance through patience.
Yeah. When you say seek assistance, you're seeking the help of Allah. And like you say, through, and that's the channel, and it's saying that you're looking for help. If you look through patience and you look through prayer, whatever help it is that you need, you pray for your help, and then you have patience that Allah will bring about this particular thing in his own good time. Okay. All right. Sister Haviva, ayat number 158. Anybody got any questions with that before we go ahead? Okay. Well, if you do, please raise your hand. Otherwise, in the interest of time, we're going to keep on going. All right. 158, sis.
Yes, sir. Ayat 158. The Safa and the Marwa are truly among the signs of Allah. So whoever makes a pilgrimage to the house or pays a visit to it, there is no blame on him if he goes round them. And whoever does good spontaneously, surely Allah is bountiful and rewarding, knowing.
Thank you, sister. All right. And so what I got from that one right there, and we have talked about this a couple of times, about doing good spontaneously. So you find that when you do things spontaneously, generally, to do something spontaneously is generally a result of maybe some training that you have received. That's what you do training wise. And I use the example of my wife, Belinda, when she was a flight attendant. They had a thing called jet recurrent training every year, the flight attendants. For I think it's a FAA requirement, if I'm not mistaken, that you have to get certain kind of training to refresh you, so these concepts are drilled into your mind. So should an emergency present itself, that you spontaneously come into a certain set of actions that would address specific emergencies. And so this training produces, so I'm looking at the way the tech teaches us how to look at the mechanism of a thing, and this training would embed certain concepts and certain actions that become automatic, or that would become spontaneous. And this is one reason why we do drills. Drills are a part of training. And even when we drill at the mosque, I think that at some point in time we will see the validity of us being able to drill and to be able to move out at once and move at one command, because we're going to be at a certain point in so much chaos in this environment that we're going to need, and we're going to have the need to be able to respond to one voice. And so it says, whoever does good spontaneous, that means that the good is the reaction. So good is obviously the concept that has been ingrained in the person that does good spontaneously. You know, I remember the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says that, he said, yeah, I believe, and I'm paraphrasing, I believe that then what I'm saying is the truth. And he gave the example. He said, well, he said, you could uh, come to my house and wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, wake me up, and I will still tell you that there is no God but Allah. You see, you won't be knocked off. In other words, certain things that are ingrained in us, and this is a sign of what we should be striving to do with our training and with our studying, is to ingrain these things. But it is part of the most difficult process, as the prophet says, that the hardest jihad that one goes through is the one that he goes through when he has to conform himself with the truth. So when you conform yourself to the truth, then the spontaneity of your actions that are in accord with truth, you have more of a tendency to respond in accordance to how you have been trained. Okay. All right. And then we got to brother, the one that Brother Wadu was talking about in man, I knew what it was, but I can't remember now. So we're going to keep on going. Sister Haviva, if you would do 164 through 167.
Yes, sir. Ayat 164. In the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alternation of night and day, and the ships that run in the sea, with that which profits men, and the water that Allah sends down from the sky, then gives life therewith to the earth after its death, and spreads in it all kinds of animals, and the changing of the winds and the clouds made subservient between heaven and earth. There are surely signs for a people who understand. Yet there are some men who take for themselves objects of worship besides Allah, whom they love as they should love Allah. And those who believe are stronger in their love for Allah. And oh, that the wrongdoers had seen when they see the chastisement, that power is wholly Allah's, and that Allah is severe in chastising. When those who were followed renounce those who followed them, and they see the chastisement and their ties cut asunder, and those who follow will say, if we could but return, we would renounce them as they have renounced us. Thus will Allah show them their deeds to be intense regret to them, and they will not escape from the fire. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. I got from that one, it talks about the creation of the heavens and the earth and the alternation of the day and the night. It goes back to something that we were talking about, something that we were talking about yesterday. This sort of refers to the cycles of life, the cycle of action, the cycle of life, and how we have, start, change, and stop, belief, faith, and knowledge. And then you have sunrise, the day, and then sunset. And then really when you can take it further into the what would I say, the on the tone scale, start would be 40, change would be 20, and 0 would be stop. And so this gives us a more comprehensive understanding of the tone scale, even when we fit those values, I would say. And if you think about going back to what we were saying earlier, see, at the beginning, at start, you're always at 40, tone 40, which is really at the highest point. That's when you are creating. That is that's the creative stage where you believe. Believe is like tone 40. And when you say you believe something, if you really believe that, then that's a very high emotional tone. But now when you start trying to make this particular thing reality, well, now you got to fight against some of the forces that exist in your environment. So it slows you down. It takes you down in terms of the tone level. But that process in itself causes you to take in more data, because you're meeting the resistance of the environment, which speeds up the learning process even so. So as you learn through working this belief, as you learn, you keep on learning to the point to where you get knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, or knowledge, wisdom, or understanding, or some combination of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. All right? So when you go back to, it says go ahead, Sister Carol.
Assalamu alaikum. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I heard you say you started tone 40. When you change, you're at tone 20 because you're facing obstacles. And whenever you start something that you really believe in, there's going to be obstacles. And then you said when you stop, you're at 0. Now, my question is this. I thought that it's going to be a certain amount of gradient accomplishment. Why should it be 0? If when you do stop, you have accomplished your goal when you stop.
Right. Well, you have to understand what 0 is. 0 does not necessarily mean nothing.
Oh.
0 just means that you start over. You just, that 0 is just a reset point.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not.
Yeah. 0 is just 0 is just like pushing that C button on the calculator where you reset.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. That's right. That needs to be brought out. And I just, it's amazing how I felt that. I guess that was you I was feeling when I said that, and which goes back and it points even further to the need for us to have these training classes where we can have training classes, we can learn the training routines, because as we were talking about earlier, and it's just so much. It's so much for us to learn, as Muslims here. And because patience, think about that. Now the Quran tells you that Allah is with the patient. So now you want Allah, so that's telling me that if I want Allah, I just need to develop some patience. And then you go to where the Church of Scientology, they have the benefits of patience, but they don't have the knowledge of Allah. So their ability is limited to a degree. But you mess around and get some of them folks over at the church that have really studied and worked on these training routines, if they were able to, if they were blessed, and we have to understand that belief is really a blessing from Allah. See, it ain't nothing that's just random and arbitrary that you believe. You have to be called into the belief of Allah. Allah has to choose you, where it says in the Quran, let he who will take away with his Lord, but you will not accept Allah, please. You see, and so you got the right idea, sister. You got the right idea. You got it. So you tone 40, tone 20, and just realize tone 20, man, that's where the action is. But at the same time, that's when you run into trouble. When you're trying to get it out. See, in tone 40, it's all in your head and everything is beautiful. You see that new business, oh man, I can make $1 million with this doggone business. You know what I mean? Then when you go ahead and start trying to put that stuff into practice, you see it ain't quite as easy as it was when it just was in your head. When you start bringing these ideas into your environment, but then that forces you to have to, it forces you into now action. So you have stop, start, change. So when you start changing, well, then what are you changing? You're changing your environment, because the belief, the thought that you had is something in the environment that's different. So when you try to make the environment different according to your thought, then you run into the opposition that is in the environment, and it takes some effort, it takes some work, with that you have to take this environment and move it, move the reality of it a distance, which work equals force times distance. So you have force, but you have to have distance before you can complete the formula of work. You see? All right. So, and then 165, I know we're a little bit over. We're gonna go over, we're gonna be a little liberal with this, with the time. We just don't want to be here till iftar. Anyway, it says that there's some men who take for themselves objects of worship besides Allah, whom they love as they should love Allah. And those who believe are stronger in their love for Allah. And see, so what happens is that, when you believe, number one, Allah is attracting you. We talked about the electricity and all of this kind of stuff like that. So what happens is that when Allah blesses you with the thought or the idea of belief, this is like a magnet attracting you. See, it's just like a magnet attracting another metal object. The magnet is causing the other object to align itself with the source of the magnetism, which is Allah. So when Allah makes you a believer, he begins to attract the characteristics or the form of your thoughts, that they may be more in line with him. He is the creator. He has the blueprint of perfection when he created the universe and he willed it into perfection. Well, then what was he willing into perfection? He was willing the idea. It started with the idea of perfection. And so when he makes you a believer, what he does is he begins to attract the polarity of your thoughts and make these thoughts in alignment with his thoughts, you see. And his thought, well, which is reality, which is the truth. See, and when we study in the technical dictionary, the truth is the exact consideration. That means the truth is exactly what Allah, the way that Allah made and structured his universe. And then that way, that configuration, I would say, would be that Allah is the creator. You are creation. And so what he is doing, he is trying to attract you in a way so that you can become one with him, and you can then share the role of creator with him. But you can't share that role of creator with him unless you are aligned with him in thoughts, deeds, and purpose. So you have to understand that he is the creator. And so we should take him as such. The Quran says that surely the devil is an enemy, so take him for an enemy. So the converse is still true. Surely Allah is the creator, so take him for the creator. So, but it says some men take for themselves objects of worship besides Allah. So if it's besides Allah, then it's not the creator. It's the creation. Why some people worship money. And just drug addiction is a part of worshiping being the effect. Addicts. And I'm trying to think, it keeps on kidding me, brother, why do what I was thinking about when you was talking. But I think some of it had something to do with the ability, us having ability. And I know my unit facsimile has you in it for ability, because the conversations that we've had. But when we have ability is, it makes me think about how we oftentimes confuse ability with doing this. And this also refers to what you was talking about too, Sister Carol. When you have ability and then you have a doing this. And see, sometimes we erroneously or mistakenly make ability and doing this the same thing. And this goes back to, if you study book 1, the calculation that of aberration is A equals A equals A, where there is was at the top tone 40. So here's your scale of related experience again, and I hope I'm not confusing you. The scale of related experience where you have differentiation, which is tone 40. And then on tone 20, you have association, which means that what you have differentiated, then you begin to associate that in mess. So you are able to integrate the tone 40 thought with the messed, the reality of changing what it is in the environment. So you have differentiation, tone 40, association, tone 20, and you have identification, which is 0. All right. So at 0, at 0, you just have pure identification. You see. And it's interesting how that whole thing works. And I know it's not the easiest thing to understand. But when you talk about, so you can talk about 0, 0, 0, and infinity can be the same thing. You see. So what you have is that when you have the association, or you say that people say that ability in doing this, we see that as the same thing, but it is in reality. You can have an ability, just like people say, I know that so and so did you wrong. You just need to get over it. And it's easy for you to say. You can believe somewhere in your mind that you can get over it, but the reality is that you don't have the ability. It's just like a drug addict. He can see himself getting over something, but getting over it is a whole different thing. And then just like what we were saying earlier, when you can see this big business idea, but it turns into a whole different game, a whole different animal when you get it out of your head and you trying to actually make changes in the environment. Go ahead, Sister Carol.
Okay, very quickly, do you mean with ability, do you mean the difference in doing this? Do you mean the difference between capability and ability? Like Black people have been capable of doing a lot, but they have not allowed us. So we're not able to demonstrate our capabilities. Is that pretty much?
Well, it's a very good question, and I know Brother Wadud is probably chuckling now, as we went through that a few weeks ago about ability. See, in other words, capability is potential. You got energy, you got in physical science, you got kinetic energy, then you got potential energy. So you may be capable of, you can be capable. See, I can be capable of on one level of telepathy. But if you ask me, you are capable of telepathy. But if I say, Sister Carol, I want you to give me the answer to this question right now, telepathically, are you able?
I happen to be. No. No.
You see the difference there? You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right. See.
I do have some small, I'm going to tell you no lie. I have some small, I test with my grands and my great grands. I test telepathy on them. And yes, I can send and I can receive, but that's another whole thing.
Yeah. And I would go so far to say everybody on here, because you are all God. Right. And that's
exactly.
So ability is when you have developed to the point to where you can be caused, where you can voluntarily, you follow what I'm saying? You can
Yeah,
volunteer.
that's right.
In other words, you are at a distance, I'm lost somewhere, I'm lost somewhere, and then where I can send you the message at will. You understand what I'm saying? So that's a ability is comes through training and through the evolution in the process. Capability is just something that you can potentially do, but the actual ability, that's a different, I guess, capability and ability. Then we're looking at gradients. Go ahead, brother Wadu. Don't chuckle too hard now.
No, sir. You actually captured exactly where I wanted to offer what makes it simple for me, and you captured it in your last example. I look at ability as like the total extent, the sum total extent of capability, from the aspect that capability is that gradient that leads to that total extent. And the example that is so clear for me, I don't know, it helps me, and maybe it'll help anyone else. I use the example of being able to read a 1,000-page book. A person may have the ability to read a 1,000-page book, but if we say, are you capable of reading that 1,000-page book in an hour? Then that, for me, shows that gradient process. I'm not capable of reading 1,000 pages in 1 hour, but I may have the ability to read 1,000 pages ultimately, but my capability is limited if they put a parameter on a 1 hour time capacity. So that just helps me to clear those two up. And I just wanted to offer that, but you summed it up very well yourself.
Let's see if we could do this again here. Everybody all right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, see, ability is kinetic. Capability is potential in the way that we're using. Let me see if we can find it. To act. See, to be able, ability is to be able to act. And to act, the ability to put it on, to take it from tone 40 to tone 20 is ability. The ability to act. See, in tone 40, on tone 40, but which is belief, that's when you got the idea. So if you have the idea, whatever they say, whatever you conceive, you can achieve. So the tone 40 is where you are able to conceptually see yourself doing this. Your ability is the actual ability to bring this particular thing into fruition. That's something that I don't want to spend the whole time on that particular thing, because I know we spent a little time before, but it seems like every time we talk about it, you know, theta mess kicks in and we get a little bit closer to it. All right. So anyway, it's 11:20. We're gonna go maybe for about 10 more minutes. And we have let's see, Sister Shayla Ara Muhammad on the line with us this morning.
Yes, sir. And I'm traveling. That's what. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and Ramadan Mubarak.
Wa alaikum salam, Ramadan Kareem.
I am in awe of this line. My name is Sister Shayla, and I am from Boston, and Brother Lukeman invited me. Well, actually, I made him invite me here.
Okay.
So I invited myself, like, Brother Lukeman, please. So thank you so much. I didn't want to interrupt to introduce myself, but I felt like I felt very rude being on your line and not introduce myself. Thank you for calling on me.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We had seen you earlier, and I had seen you earlier, and I noticed that you had dropped off there for a minute.
Yeah, no internet because I'm driving.
Right. So we was hoping that we had not ran you off.
Absolutely not. This is a blessing. This is a gift. Thank you.
Praise be to Allah. Well, you know, you are among scientists. Everybody that's on this call, in my mind, are bona fide scientists. And it really, in the truest sense of the word, because see, as we have been cast into this hostile environment, see, whenever you get cast in a hostile environment, it automatically makes you a scientist. If we understand what a real scientist is, you see. And the scientist studies his environment. So
yes, sir.
So welcome, dear sister. And we hope that you will come on every time from now until the judgment is over.
Yes, sir. Is this every day call from Monday to Friday?
During Ramadan, it's every day. And then after Ramadan, we do Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. And Sister Lakeisha looked like she was trying to say something.
Assalamu alaikum. I just wanted to give the greetings. It's only fair, fair. Sister Shirley, she led the way. I said, well, let me go and do the same thing.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Welcome, sister. You know, we are so honored to have you all, brother. We got Brother Wadu, and I'm assuming that Brother Wahid is somewhere in the mix too. I see his picture there, and I know he's generally with his wife, and so we hope that he's on the line as well. We're just trying to dissect what the Quran says in terms of what Mr. Hubbard says. And so it's a lot of when we do have to be careful. And that's why I asked you, Sister Karima, why I asked you yesterday when you were saying that you would read the definition. And I asked you, I said, well, what book are you reading from? And of course you said from the technical dictionary, which, see, these are the references. We have to reference what Mr. Hubbard is said and says, and from his perspective, because and we have to be careful if we go outside of what he really says, and I say that because this is what the minister told us to get our references from Mr. Hubbard. So we're trying to be as exclusive as possible. It's not always possible, but to get these references from Mr. Hubbard. And so that's my perspective, Brother Wadu, when I say about ability, see, I'm coming from what Mr. Hubbard says about ability. See, the way when he talks about ability, he's talking about the actual ability, not a perceived ability. Because see, that's why people will, you notice how we'll say, well, he should be able to do that. He should be able to do that. And so when you say you should be able to do something, then that is something that is not necessarily in reality. That means that I believe that you have the capability based on certain facts and certain circumstances, that when I add it up in my head, you should be able to handle this particular thing. But the ability, and that's what he says that certain things are an ability instead of a doingness. So in other words, I can ask you, as the Quran says, I can say, be patient. Well, we know ultimately that you could be patient, but the reality is that you probably won't be patient unless you are trained, unless you go through certain trials and tribulations that bring about patience, that bring about this, I would even say, patience is kind of like a state. Wouldn't it be a state of existence? Go ahead, brother Wadu.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to ask a question. Then, as you say, ability, from that definition, it rang out to me that ability from that vantage point is a noun. And then when we think of doingness is an action, which would be a verb. And so I think we're saying the same thing. And the language directs the focus, because I'm thinking doingness, an action word, which is a verb, and then ability being a noun. You can please feel free to correct me if you see it different.
No, brother. See, this is what we got to do. We trying to build the kingdom of heaven, man. Yes, sir. So you put your martyr on it. I might throw some spit in it or whatever. That's how we do it. That's exactly how we do it. And when we dialogue like this, then it makes it clearer to us, and it makes it clearer to everybody else that's listening too. Because I really believe that Allah is etching in our minds, the blueprint of the kingdom of heaven. I think that we are witnessing the birth of the kingdom of heaven right in front of our eyes. And this is Allah that's doing this with us. He's using us and taking. See, the thing is, the beauty of Mr. Hubbard's teaching is that he gives us new avenues for Allah to attract us. Does that make sense? Allah, he gives us new ideas that we can build upon to increase our faith. And see, the faith, he's trying to, with the faith, he is perfecting the picture See, the picture that's in our mind, the picture of hope that we can, I won't say so much return to our original self. We ain't really trying to return to our original self. We are trying to make a quantum leap into what Allah has made new. He makes all things new. We're trying to leap into the newness now that Allah is creating through or from the suffering that we have endured. Since Allah is the master of this day of judgment, that he takes everything that we experience in this environment and he is able to use that to help us or to direct us more accurately toward him and to refine us and to give us wisdom so that we can identify the things of importance. That's what you're doing, brother. That's what you're doing. And but my job is just to put the principle out there, not to evaluate you, not to evaluate anybody on this line, and certainly not to invalidate, because you can't be invalidated, brother. You can't be invalidated, because if you thought it's valid to you, even if it doesn't 100% line up with Allah. It is just a stopping point. It's a stepping stone to getting to Allah, because Allah is attracting all of us. And so the journey to Allah, we are going to experience things, and we're going to think certain thoughts that may not be 100% perfect. That goes for everybody, especially me. Since I got the biggest mouth on here, you got to, we have to, as that ayat was saying, seek assistance through patience and prayer. Then another one of those ayats says that this is hard except for the humble one. So if we maintain a posture of humility, that's all of us, because Allah is feeding, he's feeding me. He just using my mouth in a lot of, and then he's using everybody's mouth on here. So I'm just saying that, I'm just encouraging you. Don't feel like if what I'm saying is of what you're saying or what I'm saying, if they're not totally congruent, that it's something wrong with you saying it. No, you say what's on your mind, because Allah has shown everybody on this call that, number one, you are a brilliant brother. And I thank Allah for you participating, on this call and with me personally. So let's let's definitely keep that in mind. But at the same time, whenever I say what I have to say, it is generally based on the training that I have received and the study that I have received, having actually completed several of these courses, which ain't necessarily no big thing, because you can complete all of the doggone courses in the Church of Scientology and you just still be in kindergarten when it comes to the school of Allah. It says if all the trees were pens and all the seeds were ink with 7 seeds added to it, we're not gonna ever exhaust Allah. And so he Allah hates it when we become haughty and think that we know. And see, there's a poison, there's a poison sometimes in knowing that you have to inoculate yourself against, because see, every time you learn something, every time you get a cognition, you have to make space, you have to make space for that knowledge. And when you make that space, it just has a tendency sometimes to puff you up a little bit. And so you have to be on the lookout for that, because see, that very thing that puffs you up prevents you. It acts as an agent of prevention of your and my development and moving closer to Allah. And that's why the Quran talks about it. It says that, and we talked about it earlier. See, the people did not become divided until knowledge came to them out of envy. See, once you get that little, knowledge can be kind of like dope sometimes. And we just have to be careful, how we consume it. And I don't know how I got into all of that, but anyway, back to what we were saying. Mr. Hubbard was saying, he says that we treat he said that certain things depend on the ability, to act, the ability. See, if you can act, then that's your ability. Ability is actual. And then capability is perceived, according to what I understand here. So, did you have something else you want to say, dear brother?
No, sir. I'm sorry. I forgot to put my hand down.
Oh, it's all right. All right. Okay, brothers and sisters, well, we don't want to wear out our welcome, don't want to wear out your welcome. And then it is Ramadan, and my mouth right now is real dry. I could just get me a nice cold glass of lemonade. I'm just messing with you, of course. Because I could, but of course I'm fast. Go ahead, Sister Carol.
So do you really think you'll be able to do these classes in 1 hour only?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Could you repeat that, please?
I just asked, do you seriously think you'll be able to do these classes in 1 hour only?
Well, of course, we are at 1 hour and 38 minutes now. I just we say 1 hour, and then we're just gonna give ourselves a little time afterwards. I mean, sister, we could go the rest of the day. I could go the rest of the day. I mean, and until all of the moisture gets out of my mouth and I can't talk no more, whatever. The best thing I can tell you, sister, we're just gonna do the best we can to do as much, to cover as much as we can. And we promised last year that we were gonna try to publish or give out some of the things. So we never did. We probably last year we might have 1/3, 40% of the verses, the ayahs that we had flagged. We probably only got to maybe a maximum of 30 to 40% of them. So it's a lot of stuff that we know that we won't get to, and we just trust Allah will guide us to something that will benefit.
Yes, I just wanted to excuse me.
You go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to verbalize that I have things to do going and coming probably this month, but you're not straining me. I just wanted to be verbal on that.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
good that we've gone this long. I just want to speak up and say that out of my mouth. Okay?
I accept and I appreciate.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Sister Shayla, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right.
You are saying my name perfectly, my brother.
All
Listen,
right.
what I miss a lot of the in and out, and I just feel that my heart is missing some oxygen. I was wondering, is there a taping of this that I can listen after?
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes,
Absolutely.
praise be to Allah.
Yeah, make sure that you maybe put your
Email in
your
the chat. Yes,
email,
sir.
yeah, put your email in the chat, and we'll be sending it out. Sister Belinda, she'll get it out as soon as possible.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Your presence is welcome and it is felt. Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. All right. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say or ask before we close out today? I mean, we could go on and on and on, but we won't. We'll do this. We don't want to get no spiritual indigestion, because you can't really get that during Ramadan anyway, can you?
Brother Tim,
But, yes.
I just want to add in closing, the cognition that I had while you were speaking about
Go
the
ahead.
minister, doing the Aretha Franklin funeral, and how he sat there all those hours and just, all those hours, and I was watching him, and then I thought about this is great listening skills. I know you have to have patience, but it's listening also that you can hear everything that's coming in, and then you have the patience and your focus. So that's what I was thinking about as you were talking, and expressing your thoughts on the in your soul you will find patience, or patience within your soul.
Right. That's right.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
So and when you said that, I don't know why my mind went back to the minister and Aretha Franklin, because that's the first time I ever seen him hour after hour after hour, and he's just sitting there, and taking in everything. Yes, sir. And that's what I was thinking about. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. You're quite welcome, sister. Thank you so much. And that's Allah feeding us through you. Yeah. And I see that sister, I'm just looking at the chat. There's a lot of beauty in these chats. Do you send those out too, Belinda?
No,
Okay.
but they can go ahead and save. You click on those little dots.
Yeah, you may want to do that. You may want to try to save these chats, because there's a lot of stuff. I see something that Sister Ania is put in there about energy and kinetic energy, potential energy. All of these are things that we study in school. And so now Allah is blessing us to be able to get some practical use out of it. All right. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, we will go ahead on and bring this session to a close.
Saying before you do that, I just need clarity. It's every day. You said every day, but what are the hours? The exact hours again?
It's 10. We start at 10.
And it ends around 11 or 12.
Well, we scheduled to just do an hour, but we'll probably be going,
And then on Saturday and Sunday?
And
what time?
Saturday and Sundays at 5.
5. And that's also scheduled to be around an hour, but a little here or there.
Right. That's right.
Okay.
I mean, if you have to do something, if you have to go, we certainly understand.
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for lending us your beautiful voice.
Oh, praise
And
God.
yes, ma'am. So with that, we'll go ahead on and bring this to a close. May Allah bless us with the light of understanding and give us something that we can take with us on a practical level and be better Muslims and come closer to him. And so tomorrow, well, I know I'll start off tomorrow, but I've got to, I'm going to have to, I think around 10:45, I'm going to be, I've got to do my appointment with my doctor, where we will discuss the results of my heart scan. And so inshallah, it's not gonna take very long with he and I. And so from 10:45 maybe to 11, I want somebody to be prepared to step up with your participation tomorrow while I'm gone. And inshallah, when I get back, I'll come back on and you all will have created a new heaven and the earth by the time I get back. By Allah. So with that, we'll bring it to a close and we'll close out in prayer as we normally do. Attention, prayer. And we pray. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, all praises are due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the beneficent, the merciful, master of this day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, thee alone do we beseech for aid. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path you have bestowed favors, not of those whom your wrath has brought down, nor those who go astray. Ameen.
Amen.
Okay, brothers and sisters, go in peace. I look very forward to seeing you tomorrow at 10. And by all means, let other people know. Let's have us a real party, a real righteous Islamic Holy Ghost party.
Allahu Akbar. Yes.
Allah is Akbar. Absolutely. All right. Inshallah tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. I love these people already.
We love you too, sis.
Oh, you all heard that? Sorry.
Don't be sorry. That was Allah speaking.